All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha Kodash. All right, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us all this truth and who also rule and teach well. And Shalom to all the Achim in his truth and sincerity, starting with the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which we are fighting to be a part of. This is your brother Chabar Yakal coming back, Lord willing, with another quick and edifying lesson. And the title, as you can see, is The Great Escape. All right, The Great Escape. And I'm not talking about Six Flags in New Jersey. All right, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Six Flags isn't called Six Flags in New Jersey. It's called The Great Escape. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that, but that's beside the point. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about salvation, salvation of the elect of Israel, all right, of the nation of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all right, and also our people scattered in, other parts of the earth that took on the appearance of the other nations, the appearance and customs, that's who salvation is for. Okay, but this lesson in particular is really just going into, the ones that are called and chosen, kind of like the lesson I did not too long ago, like going into linking salvation to the chariots, so to speak, because Christians, they'll speak on salvation, but they can't break it down. They'll tell you, before the great tribulation, all the Christians, they're just gonna vanish and their clothes are just gonna be left behind. Just making shit up. It's like there's no scripture on that, but there is scriptures going into the chariots, which the chariots are the chariots in the Bible, the chariots of God. They're what the world would call today a UFO, but they're really the vehicles of the angels. That's how the angels traverse. That's how they traverse, dimensions. Not trying to sound like some deep fucking Doctor Strange or nothing like that. But real talk though, that's how the angels they travel between dimensions. That's how they travel in general. They come from the throne. All right, there's a scripture in Matthew that says, be careful how you roughly paraphrasing, be careful how you treat one of these little ones, for their angels behold the face of the Most High. Roughly paraphrasing. So the angels, they travel from the throne of the Most High. They're His messengers. That's what the word angel means. They're His messengers. They go to and fro. They're His eyes and ears. They're His hands. There's another scripture that speaks about He guided us with the skillfulness of His hands. That's the angels, because the angels don't make mistakes. That's how like the skillfulness of His hand. The Lord doesn't make mistakes because His messengers don't make mistakes. All right, they're perfect. And the Most High Himself, He's beyond perfect, times infinity. And that's an understatement. But I'm gonna start in 2nd Ezra 9. Without further ado. And Salachya for my rant, Salachya. This is Amos. I said Amos. 2nd Ezra 9 and verse. Hell, I'll start at 3. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Look at what's going on over there. In the Middle East, Gaza, Iran, the hot topic right now is Iran and Israel. That's uproars of the people. Matthew 24:6. That's wars and rumors of wars. How America. Trump is speaking on taking out the destroying the nuclear weapons of Iran. That's a war and a rumor of war. So all these things are happening. These are the signs. These are the tokens. This is how yeah, we're really at the end. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. This is like our confidence. Like, us seeing these signs is like, yo, we're really at the end. This is it. you know? And this might actually be the year. And, I hope, we're ready. That's the main thing I hope. I hope it comes soon, but even more than that, I hope I'm ready whenever it comes. I pray to Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. This is 2 Ezra 9 and 3. It says, therefore, when thou shalt be seeing earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, through his prophets. Hebrews 1 and 1. He always speaks through his prophets. So the Lord already told you, Yahweh, which that's his true name in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. That's the true name of God. His name is Yahweh. His son's name is Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Bashim Al Shai has already laid out all his plans to his prophets. What's that? Amos 3 and 7. He reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. So he let us know all he was gonna do before he even did it. All right, he told us that it was gonna be, the RFID micro C-HIP was gonna be made mandatory. He told us that. All right, he told us, the nuclear missiles, one day they're gonna be shot off and destroy this place. He told us that. All right, those are the secrets. And why is it a secret? Because the world can't receive it. All right, because they can't receive the love of the truth. They weren't called or chosen. Okay, but us in the truth, we were called, but we hope we're chosen. All right, that's why. It's gonna go into. I'm just gonna keep reading. It says, even so, Salachya, verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world had the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Right, America had a beginning, and now we're at the end of it. Kingdoms don't last that long. Kingdoms only last around 200, some odd years. That's the average lifespan of a kingdom, and America is a kingdom. All right, it's not a nation, because when you look up the word nation, it really goes back to the etymology of race, which is raza, which means nation. So America really isn't a nation. It's a corporation, but it's also a kingdom. The scripture speaks about Babylon, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency. That's a kingdom. Babylon is a kingdom. Babylon the Great. There's another scripture that I think says the glory of kingdoms or something like that. Babylon, the excellency, it's something like that. Like, it mentions kingdom. Matter of fact, just for edification's sake, hold up. Yep. Isaiah 13 and 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms. That shows you America is a kingdom. It's not a nation, because a nation is a race of people. And you are whatever your father is, that's who you are. So whatever you can't mix nations, and it's like, oh, that's a mixture. That's a a Hedonite, a Hamite and a Edomite. Like, no, whatever your father is, that's what you're gonna be. So it says, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's another secret. How knowing that the Lord is gonna destroy this place in a similar manner that He did with Sodom and Gomorrah. It says, even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape, that's the key word, escape, by his works and by faith. Those are the other key words, works and faith, whereby ye have believed. So to be able to escape this coming nuclear destruction, that escape is synonymous with salvation. You could, because verse 8, it continues on and says salvation. So it's synonymous. So how this is going into salvation. How is the elect going to be able to escape or be saved? Through their works and their faith. Okay, both of them. You can't have one without the other, because you show, your works by your faith. All right. That's what it says in, I believe, the book of James, chapter 5. It says something along the lines of, show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. That's how you're able to show your faith. Not everyone's gonna, teach, but whatever it is, whatever your role is in this ministry, you definitely have to have works and faith to back it up. It might just be a person who just watches and listens, but they're just not set up to teach, and they might, just support by, sending tithes or, just supporting, sharing the videos, whatever. And I'm saying that because not everyone's gonna be a teacher. All right. So it says, whereby you have believed. So you have to believe. The only way to escape the nuclear destruction, you got to believe. You got to be a believer, Believer in what? In Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That those are the true names of the Most High and His Son. And you got to be a believer in the 100% truth. You can't get offended at anything in the doctrine, You can't get offended at grape. You can't get offended at you can deal with multiple women. You could deal with heathen women. Like, a member of the elect won't get offended at any of that, There's a scripture in Psalms that says nothing shall offend them, which is the elect. Meaning, the scripture says offenses must come, but the elect will never be offended in the Lord, So, hold up. What was I going to get? Oh, yeah, I was going to get the etymology of escape real quick. It says, circa 1300, transitive and intransitive, free oneself from confinement, extricate, I believe that's what that says, oneself from trouble, extricate, look this word up, extract. It says, and trouble is coming, Jacob's trouble. We're coming into a time known as Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30:7. The worst time that the planet Earth has ever seen, the Great Tribulation, So we're definitely gonna need to escape and be saved out of that. Well, that's what it says. It says Jacob shall be saved out of it. The elect, Lord willing, we're a part of it. It says, get away safely by flight. And that's spiritual that it says that, because that's how we're going to be saved. That's how we're going to get away safely. The Lord is going to fly and save us. He's going to come in on a vehicle that's not of this world. All right. He's not going to come in on a jet plane, on a B-52 bomber, B-22, whatever, 22 bomber, whatever. He's coming on a vehicle that's not of this world. All right. a vehicle that's going to be pretty much the size of Earth itself, which is a chariot, what the world ignorantly calls a UFO. So we're going to be saved by flight. Ooh, matter of fact. Ooh, yeah. This is maybe. I just thought of one. This is because it said by flight. It says Malachi 4:2. It says, but unto you that fear my name. Like I said, you have to know the names of the Most High, which is Yahweh, his son's name, Yahweh Shai. You have to know those names. You got to believe those names. It says, shall the Son of Righteousness, which that's Yahweh Shai, arise with healing in his wings. What did it say? What did it say? It says, get away safely by flight. Well, you need wings to fly, right? You know, it says, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, meaning we're going to be safe. A calf in a stall is safe. A wolf can't get to him. He's inside, you know. So that's going to be us. You know, we're going to get new bodies. Read 1 Corinthians 15, around 50. We're going to be changing the twinkling of an eye. We're going to get superhuman, extraterrestrial, immortal bodies. When Yahweh Shai said, he that believeth on me shall, roughly paraphrasing, shall have everlasting life, he meant that. We're going to get a body that's going to live forever. We're going to be able to enjoy all the benefits of having an angelic body, plus all the benefits of having an earthly body, you know. We're still going to be able to eat food, drink. You know, we're going to have children. We're going to have a whole lot of children in the kingdom of heaven. We're going to have many wives. So it's going to be the best of both worlds. We're going to have angelic powers in the physical body that lives forever. That's the reward. That's salvation. So I'm ending off with Isaiah 26:20. Not to drag the lesson on. Isaiah 26 and verse 20, it says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. So the chambers is also going into the chariots. How do you know that? Matter of fact, let me get it real quick. How do you know that the chambers is also speaking about the chariots? This is Psalms 104 and verse 3. It says, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters. You know? Hey, he got beams. The chariots shoot laser beams, you know? It says, so the chambers in the waters, the outer space in the scriptures is known as the waters. You know, the Hebrew word is shemayim. And the root word of shemayim is mayim, which is waters. So when it says he left the beams of his chambers in the waters, it's talking about outer space. The chariots just zip to and fro all over the place. You know, they're everywhere. You know? Hey, the scripture says the eyes of the Lord are in every place, even in outer space. The Lord can see everything that's going on any planet right now. On any inch, all corners of the whole universe, the Lord could see everything. His angels are everywhere. But the point is, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. All right? So that's pretty much it. Hold up. Let me see if I finished this one. Go back. I think I finished it. It says, hide thyself. It says, shut thy doors about thee. You know, just like back in the time of Noah, the ark doors got shut. It's going to be the same thing. Only the elect is going to make it up there. You know, my elder down here, Bishop Batazon, from time to time he makes a funny joke. Like it's not just gonna be some nigga that just got beamed up. He grabbed onto a member of the elect. He got beamed up. Some nigga would have fitted with some Timbs on and shit, with a damn black and mild in his mouth, and he just somehow made it too. I know the doors is gonna be shut. Only the elect is making it in, man. Just like only Noah and his family made it in. Ain't no niggas making it. And if a nigga did somehow like hover up, we're gonna, hey, we're gonna be like King Leonidas and kick his ass down. Kwam Yasharala, hit his ass, in the face. So it says, as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed, which is the nuclear missiles. We're gonna be up there until the fire and of the destruction from the missiles dies down. Then we're gonna come back down, and like Elder Apostle Salachya Gabar speculates, is the land that we're gonna come out of the chariots is gonna be South America. But that's pretty much the point. That's how we're gonna be saved, by the chariots. So Lowland, this lesson was edifying. Once again, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Kavod, Shalom.